So real quick before we go into smug posts, I actually saw an interesting post on a pro window cleaning group on Facebook. The question that this user phrased to just anyone else in the group was, before you opened your own business, were you nervous about it? I looked through the responses, and about 90% roughly of the people who responded said yes, they were nervous before they opened their business. There was a lot of discussion though about, like, yeah, I was confident, but there was an element of being nervous to it. It can be a big deal. You got to make money. You have to support a family in a lot of situations. So I was just curious for you, Joe, like, you could briefly tell us about when you started ServiceMonster back in 2003?
Yeah, 2003.
2003. Were you nervous? And kind of what was your mindset like during that period when you were transitioning from other work to starting your own company?
That's a very complicated answer.
Figured it would be.
Yeah. The actual question is, was I nervous? And I guess the answer would be, I'm not sure how you would classify nervous. Right?
It is kind of subjective, yeah.
It is. And there's a scale, right? From anxiety, like totally freaking the hell out and just falling down into a puddle of mush and not being able to do anything.
Yep.
And I'm seeing that more and more frequently. To, butterflies in your stomach. I picked up a ridiculous trait way early in my game in like a sandball baseball group with a coach that was pretty awesome. And it's turning... Oh, and before I throw the punchline,
okay,
I have an interesting story. I threw this punchline at a thread that was a question posted to Mark Hamill. And my answer got ranked top. Mark Hamill liked it and responded with kind of a thumbs up type of emoji.
Nice.
I'm like, holy shit, Luke Skywalker approves of my philosophy.
That's awesome.
And they were talking about kids being nervous about going up on stage. And the teacher asked Mark Hamill, what should I tell the kids about being nervous? And he made some sort of a joke. My answer was, if you can learn how to tell yourself that being nervous is actually you being excited, because from a physiological point of view, they're damn near identical. You can't really tell them apart until you move into anxiety, right? That's a whole different game.
It's debilitating, so yeah, it's
right.
different.
But because anxiety is kind of a downward spiral, right? You start with nervous, but if you can tell yourself that nervousness is actually being excited, you could use it to really, really mess some stuff up.
Seriously.
And so I learned that as a kid. I had a coach that was able to kind of make the light bulb for me go off there. And so, and then it never was an issue for me, which is created opportunity. As I was a front man in a band, I had an 85 mile an hour fastball and I was throwing for Little League World Championships, like none of that stuff bothered me because I was just always freaking excited. Okay. Now I didn't start ServiceMonster though until after I got punched in the mouth with cancer. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I was too fearful. I had a growing family. I went from minimum wage to a $90,000 cubicle. That's pretty badass for uneducated. Yet I had something that said I need to throw that cubicle away and go start something. And I wasn't even sure what. And then when I had cancer and started wondering why I was making so much money for other people, I was like, I just need to do my own thing. And so then I went on a mission to learn and kind of grow and self-reflect in those areas for about 1.5 years and learned what not to do in a startup with another company I was a junior partner with. By the time I started ServiceMonster, I was excited when I got the first check, which allowed us to actually open the door. All right. It was small. It's like a $50K friends and family type, right? Yeah. Desperately needed in order to move forward. So, I don't want to undervalue its worth. But the investments that we put into ServiceMonster, because we bootstrapped it, they were minimal compared to what everybody else is doing. Was I nervous? I was excited to finally see if I could make a go of it on my own. And I was ready to prove myself. Maybe overeager at times. But we were doing things that no one else had done yet. Yeah. SaaS didn't exist. So I don't know how fair it is, because, what drives me is taking massively complex systems and then breaking them really down into their finite, simple parts and being able to manage that and put it together and grow. That's like, I have a big passion for that. So I was excited to be able to work on building the systems the way I wanted to build them, right? Without the constraint of a figure over me telling me how they needed to be done.
Yeah.
Was I nervous that I was going to fail? Next to cancer, like, what's the worst that can happen? I got to go back and work for somebody else? Never had a problem finding a job. So maybe that's a safety net, right? There's a saying, burn the ships. What you're really saying is don't give your troops an out. Like, if there's an out, there's a way to get out. But if there's no way out, the only way is forward is through the front lines. Guess what? They're going to fight harder. Yeah. Individually, you're like that too. So I didn't have to burn the ships. I felt comfortable with that. And so I just pushed. Now, I have lots of people, mentors or coaches I've run across the years, who said, 15 years, dude, that's a long time for where you're at. True. Totally true. Doesn't mean I'm wrong with where we're headed. I just got started way early in the game, and I made a couple major mistakes that we were able to weather that I hope will have big payoffs over the next 5 years.
Yep.
So, was I nervous? No. I wasn't nervous. I was excited.
Because your nervousness that would have been there, you were conditioned to really just channel that as excitement. That sounds like
that,
more,
and the stakes were low for me.
Yeah, so it's just
I could have probably got another $80,000 a year job within 4 weeks.
Yeah,
right?
So it's fine. Yeah. Well, it's a good perspective. Thanks for sharing. That's definitely probably unique, given the cancer right before that, and then definitely unique perspective.
Yeah. So if you really want
starting a business,
have the perspective of an entrepreneur, get cancer. I don't suggest it, but if you happen to, it's a kick-ass motivator. Or almost die, or whatever.
Use it to your advantage. Use a crappy,
how can you
awful
not?
situation.
I didn't die. Holy shit! I'm still around for my kids.
Yep.
How can you not be grateful every day?
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's awesome.